Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie, and this is Unity Consciousness. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm so glad you did. I'd like to welcome any new subscribers and also thank those of you who are returning for this week's energy update. And wow, what a week we've got ahead of us. Neptune is now at 29 degrees of Pisces, meaning that it's at anaretic degree of Pisces and will remain there until the 30th of this month. This particular placement and degree of Neptune at the very end of the zodiac is telling us it's time to trust and surrender to the new light codes that are being our atmosphere, our planet is being just bombarded with high frequency light that carries these new light codes of higher consciousness, the higher dimensional consciousness, if you will. And its purpose is to upgrade us as individuals so that we can really embrace unity consciousness. The next 3 weeks are pivotal, and they're going to show you what's unfolding over the next 6 months. We've got 2 eclipses, and we also have the spring equinox. So as we start the week, we are still carrying forward the energy that was prominent yesterday. That was the Sun in Pisces trine Mars, which is in Cancer, and the Mars retrograde cycle is really communing with that Piscean Sun energy, asking us to allow our intuition to guide us as we connect with our feelings and come from a heart-centered consciousness, stepping away from the ego and into heart-centered consciousness. It's ours for the taking. It's ours for the taking. Then on Tuesday of this week, we will have Mercury, which is in shadow in the sign of Aries, is going to conjunct Venus, which is retrograde in the sign of Aries at 8 degrees. This speaks about conversations or messages, perhaps, that are relational, which cause a reevaluation. Venus is in retrograde, a reevaluation of past personal values, financial decisions, or maybe it's even creative pursuits. Mercury is going to station to go retrograde this Saturday, the day after the full moon total lunar eclipse. And it's going to go retrograde. Mercury is going to go retrograde at the same degree as the total new moon solar eclipse at the end of the month on the 27th. So everything, this conversation that's had, take it under advisement. We've got a planet that's in shadow and a planet that's retrograde, a planet that's about to go retrograde. And to make changes based on information that you are getting might be more of a knee-jerk reaction. So pace yourself here. Like I said, take it under advisement. There's going to be so many changes in the next few weeks that you'll want to sit with this energy, because I'm confident that there will be enough changes that you may pivot completely by the time Venus is direct and also Mercury is direct, especially after we get through this eclipse cycle. On Wednesday of this week, we will have the Sun that's in Pisces is going to conjunct Saturn. This energy is probably the strongest energy of the week, and I feel like when I sat with this energy earlier, it also speaks of the full moon total lunar eclipse that we're going to have on Friday. This energy is the beginning of it, and it's going to carry us through that energy. So it's time to shed false prophets. The Sun is in Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces. It wants us to close out any soul contracts that no longer serve a higher purpose in our lives as we integrate these light codes, as we integrate this high level frequency energy and create a new beginning for us. We are on the dawn of just this precipice of change. Stark reality checks can be present now, and they're leading us somewhere. So pay attention, definitely pay attention. We are flushing out toxicity so that as that sun begins a new cycle, and please know, we have the spring equinox next week. So as the sun begins its new zodiac year, new zodiac cycle, and it's between these two powerful eclipses, one that's a closeout and a new beginning, we can embrace the purity of the spark of the new beginning. We've got to recognize where self-sabotage has created space for stagnancy. And it's our time to shed those contracts, shed those thoughts, shed false prophets, shed any beliefs that are no longer serving you, especially as we continue this ascension process. Then on Friday, or very late Thursday, depending on where you're at, it's going to happen at 2:54 a.m. here on the East Coast. We will have that full moon total lunar eclipse at 23 degrees 57 minutes of Virgo. This is the second of 7 eclipses on this nodal axis cycle that is the health service axis. It's bringing attention to physical and mental health, that's for sure. I certainly had a week, in the last couple of weeks have had a lot of those reality checks come up that needed to be addressed. Any areas where you may be procrastinating, expect them to come up so that they can be addressed and managed so that we can embrace this new energy. This eclipse is going to play out over the next 6 months. There could be some sudden change that occurs, but allow yourself to digest it over the next 6 months. Very powerful for the first 3 months, but it begins to wane a bit. Again, we want to shed. This is a full moon, so we're shedding what no longer serves us so that we can jump into the divine flow and accept what's coming at the time of the new moon, the total solar eclipse at the end of the month. We are closing out worry. We are closing out extreme nitpicky type behaviors and really stepping into trust and guidance of the intuition. What I like about this is the sun is sextile Uranus and the moon is trine Uranus. And we know that this creates a wedge. And what is a wedge? A wedge is an opportunity that presents in this energy. It's an opportunity for us to clear past patterns, critical thinking, overthinking, escapism to avoid, not escapism to create, escapism to avoid. Any soul contracts that you've outgrown or closed out, it's time to get rid of those so that you can ascend to a higher consciousness that's matching the very high vibrational energy that is coming in for us. It is present. Let's take some responsibility and close out subconscious self-sabotage and welcome in glory and peace. This is an interesting dynamic because we do have a choice. We do have a choice. Nothing is being forced on you. So be aware with every choice you make, especially hard choices, because this is Saturn. Hard choices you make come with peace. And every time you trust the divine flow, the level of validation you get is so reassuring, just so reassuring. Then on Saturday of this week, Mercury will go retrograde in the sign of Aries. As I mentioned, it's at 9 degrees, which to me is very interesting. This is the eclipse point at the end of the month. So stay centered in yourself. Mercury's in Aries. Like I mentioned before, what we don't want to do is make it self-centered. We want to be centered in ourselves. We're understanding our essence. We want to be able to use this retrograde to its full capacity. We want to squeeze everything out of it, everything out of it. The realization and the integration of how moving too quickly, because Mercury's in Aries, so it's like snap decisions, moving quickly, saying things that you really didn't mean, but you just needed to get over it. Or get past it, we'll say. And this could be mind or communications. We're seeing how that could sabotage our best effort, and certainly not welcoming in a higher level of consciousness for ourselves. It's time to review the spark of inspiration that maybe you had up until this point. And Mercury retrograde season is here to help us evaluate that spark of inspiration. It's here to help us integrate that Piscean energy. We're starting in Aries, and it's going to retrograde back into Pisces, helping us understand intuition. It's going to help us understand where self-sabotage, especially with thoughts, has worked against us. So that when it moves back into Aries, when it's direct, and then moves out of shadow in the sign of Aries, again, 9 degrees, that we can embrace that spark of the new beginning with purity, with confidence, with self-assurance of who we are at an essence level. Does it align with higher consciousness? Does it align with unity consciousness is what we're trying to ask ourselves. Very powerful time. Also this week, typically I don't talk about this, but Neptune is going to enter shadow. These outer planets, they take forever. I shouldn't say forever, that's not fair. They stay retrograde, they are in shadow for quite a period of time. But what I think is important to note is with Neptune's retrograde and relativity to us understanding Neptunian energy and its pivot from Pisces to Aries, I did want to sit with and kind of channel this energy a little bit today. So this occurs on Thursday, on the 13th. Neptune enters shadow at 29 degrees of Pisces, goes retrograde on the 4th of July, 2 degrees of Aries, and then stations direct on December 10th. So this is a process that's going to take us through this eclipse cycle and begin the next eclipse cycle. And what I get from this is we are stepping away from 3D activations of Neptunian energy, such as empathy for hierarchy and creativity for escapism, and into empathy for unity and creativity for community. And then as it moves into Aries, we are using the ethereal energy deep within ourselves. For what purpose is the question we're asking ourselves. Reading off my sheet here. And when it moves into Aries, the 3D variety of this Neptunian energy, escapism to avoid, spirituality to align with dictated belief systems, and 5-dimensional escapism to create, spirituality for purity, and becoming a spiritual warrior from a place of unity consciousness. So that's what I truly believe that's what our Neptune retrograde season will be about. And with it entering shadow, we will be experiencing this massive shift between Pisces and Aries, and then Saturn shortly thereafter, Venus retrograde and then direct, Mercury retrograde and then direct, so we can integrate our personal planets. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I decided to use the Starseed Oracle, just given these high frequency light codes that are coming in and all that we're being asked to clear. I thought let's talk to ask the Starseed Oracle deck to give us some assistance here. So this is what the deck looks like. It is by Rebecca Campbell, and the artwork is by Danielle Noel. And the card that jumped out today is Child of the Cosmos. Let's see what the book has to say. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. There's a mysterious force that governs all of life. An intelligence that tells flowers when to bloom and the tides and seasons when to come and go. That intelligence is within you too. It was there before you drew your first breath, and it will be there well beyond your last. It's the part of you that informed every cell what to do when you were in your mother's womb. It's harder to resist this force than it is to surrender to it. Because Earth is a planet of polarity and free will, it's easy to forget that this intelligence exists within us. So often we become disconnected from this pulse of life and fall into the pattern of believing that we are separate, or feeling that we need to go it alone. We can feel isolated, as if we need to figure things out for ourselves, to rely on our own strength. You're being called to remember the intelligence that's within each and every one of your cells, to remember that you're a precious child of a loving, gentle universe, that you have access to all the intelligence, wisdom, strength, flow, and qualities there ever were, are, or will be. And to remember that if flowers know exactly when and how to bloom, then you do too. The question to ask yourself at this time: how can you surrender more deeply to the intelligent flow of life? Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this video, please do click the like button. If you know somebody who could be helped by this video, please do share it with them. I appreciate the co-creation efforts, that's for sure. Any comments or suggestions, post them in the box below. I always like hearing from you. It is a very powerful, pivotal time in evolution and our evolutionary processes. Don't hesitate to share with me what you're going through, or if there's any way that I can assist you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you have a fabulous week of reflection, of surrender to what is, and the trust that comes when you do so. Have a fabulous week. Namaste.